Okay, we're live here in the Hack Learning Ambassadors group, and hopefully you can hear me. If not, you can hear some music. It'd be great. Anyways, so we're doing these here, and then I'm sharing them on the Hack Learning Facebook page and in various places. I'm putting them on the Hack Learning Toolkit. So a little plug for the toolkit. If you go to hacklearningtoolkit.com, you can sign up for free. This has hundreds of tools, soon thousands, videos, ebooks. Yeah, it would be fun. And the toolkit's great, so I hope people will check that out. And we're going to talk about Quit Point. We're doing a new book from Times 10 Publications with these guys called Quit Point. And I think you guys are going to love it. It's really an interesting look at some research they've done as classroom teachers, and it's a great look at what makes kids quit. I'm going to bring Adam on board now. There they are. Okay,
we're backing up.
The middle. You guys are going to have to lean in. You might have to get closer to each other.
That's good. All right,
you guys probably spend a lot of time together already. Maybe don't be that close. I don't know. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to let you guys say a little bit about who you are, maybe where you are, what you do, and then we'll get into Quit Point. So, guys, tell us a little bit about you guys.
Yeah, it's fun. So I'm Sveti, and I've been teaching for 14 years now, mostly in South Ocean City schools, Franklin Heights. Had a couple years in another school in the district called Grove City, and been teaching social studies for the whole time. I'm currently the department lead in our high school. And we've been doing a lot of presentations lately, and as we get more interested in professional development and things like that.
And I don't want to rehash too much there, but we work together. So we've been working together now for 9 years, and
nice.
Have kind of gone down this road and adventured together, and started collaborating 5-6 years ago, and started coming up with this idea of Quit Point, and that's a little better. We're slowly getting better at the camera side of it.
Yeah,
so
again, it's a work in progress. We're hacking it. That's okay.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So all right, so
I've been
cool.
working
So you
there
guys
for 9 years. So.
9 years, and you're in Columbus area, Southern Ohio.
Central Ohio.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that's good, and I'm in Cleveland, so we're not far away from each other. That would be just like a 3-wood for me. I don't know about you guys. Golfing. From Cleveland to Columbus, about a 3-week. All right, so anyway, what we're here to talk about, I'm really excited about this, and we could just sort of chat about it. I'm gonna let you guys go because you are the experts. But you guys, for some time now, have been working with kids and researching and doing a lot of in the classroom hands-on stuff and observations, and you've come up with this concept of Quit Point. Just tell us what that is and why do teachers even need to know about it?
So Quit Point, the easy way to say it is that basically all of us come to moments when we're doing anything in life. It could be in the classroom, it could be at home, it could be in the athletic field, where our effort just decreases, where we can't continue giving the effort we're trying to give to a task. And so that moment is what we call the Quit Point. For a moment there, getting on this feed was a Quit Point because we're struggling to get on in the camera.
Ready to quit. I was about to bring more.
This isn't working. But it's that moment, and so we try to capture that moment both in the classroom and as educators.
Yeah. Okay. And there's some things leading up to that, I'm sure, right? Tell us a little bit about those things leading up to the point of quit, where I'm done.
Okay, so like initially we started kind of down this road. We were doing all the things that most teachers do. Regularly going to professional development, trying to take all those aspects into account, in our teaching. And what we weren't quite seeing the results that we were hoping for or expecting in the students. And one of the common complaints that we regularly got was, this issue of student apathy, and to some extent, some of the answers that we got, showed that it wasn't even that the students weren't learning the material or were struggling to learn the material, but we were getting almost ridiculous answers at times. And so it kind of led us to start questioning, why these aren't even answers that don't show that the students are struggling with it. Where's kind of the disconnect here? Then we kind of flipped the question around, and instead of trying to figure out how to motivate the students, which is you're trying to motivate an individual. Instead, we try to kind of flip the question around, put ourselves in the perspective of the students, and try to start breaking down what are the elements that cause students to hit that quit point, to start to shut down, show less effort, because then that less effort is leading to less learning in the classroom. So that's kind of what led us down this path, is like flipping that initial question and trying to figure out what those components are that even lead students to this quit point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
we
how
talk
do we
about
do that,
like,
Sveti?
yeah. So what we talk about is we try to break down, like, it's an individual thing. First of all, it depends on the student, right? So some students have obstacles at home where they're distracted by struggling to, I won't say distracted, but they're overcoming hunger, they're overcoming lack of sleep, they're trying to deal with family issues or with peer drama, or all these factors that, especially with any kid can come up to at any time. It can be unpredictable sometimes when it's just a friend's mad at you, or it can be persistent stuff like, I'm always hungry and I can't focus on your work right now because I need a sandwich.
Right.
And there's other factors too, which is the academic side of things with the teaching and planning, or if the student doesn't know why they're in your class, if they don't feel a chance that they can succeed, if they have a history of failure, or if they've coasted throughout their whole time in school and think, I've only given 50% of effort the entire time I've been a student, and why are you asking me for more than that? I think I'm trying, and now you're asking me for twice the effort I'm used to because you told me I need 100%, and I can't sustain that, so I can't. And so there's tons of factors. And that's part of our challenge every year, is we kind of spend the first couple of weeks trying to profile our individual students' quit points so we can really address those things individually.
So you're trying to, if I understand this, you're trying to figure out from the beginning, really, when you get new students, you're trying to identify that quit point from the beginning?
Yes. Yeah, it's the first thing we look for.
And give me a strategy or two that you would do, an activity that a teacher could do that they could take away from this and say, let me figure that out.
So we like to start with kind of a high skill level assignment. So for social studies, one of the things that always is an obstacle for our struggling learners is the literacy aspect, the writing and the reading. Okay. So we start early on with a serious reading and writing assignment, and that'll show us that the high risk quitters almost right away, because we start seeing some kids will drop out of that assignment within 5 minutes because they see a text and they're thinking, this is ridiculous, I'm not going to read it, I've never read more than 3 lines, I'm doing it now. Or what do you mean, like how many sentences in a paragraph? And so even the way the students interact with the material shows us a quit point, because the students are asking those questions about, oh, how long do I have to write? Or do I have to read the whole thing? Those are all signs that there's like pre-quit statements, that they're looking for any type of sign from their teacher that they don't have to keep engaging. And that's kind of the first.
When I was in a classroom, I would look at that as just laziness. To me, it would say, well, how long does it have to be? Or, why do I have to write that much? Or can I only write 1 paragraph instead of 3 or whatever? And, my default was, oh, this kid's lazy. But that's not really true, right? No,
exactly. One of the things that we kind of address in the book, and that we kind of had to come to the realization of, is that we all have these quit points. That it's a very just kind of human, nature aspect. But for the most part, when you're coming from the perspective of the teachers, we look at that, and for the most part, I would say most teachers didn't struggle as much in school. That that wasn't as much of an obstacle for us. So when we're in the classroom doing the teaching, we see that behavior from students, and it's not the students. The student's not necessarily lazy. They're reaching a quit point behavior. So we didn't necessarily have that same issue when we were students. So we see that behavior from the students, and our first reaction is to kind of pin that on the student as they're lazy. Whereas really starting to break down, no, there's something that's causing that behavior, and it might be behavior specific to today. It might be an ongoing behavior, but trying to diagnose that first so we could try to cut through that is kind of where we put our effort.
Yeah, and so, and I don't know if we even said this in the beginning or not. So you guys have written a book called Quit Point. And even though this is Hack Learning TV, this is not a Hack Learning series book. But this is a book that Times 10 Publications is going to publish, but it's outside of any series called Quit Point. And again, something these guys have been working on for a very long time and already presenting on, really even ahead of the book, and helping educators kind of wrap their arms around this. Now, you said it's not really a kid thing, it's a human thing. So in the book, give us a little point of view, guys. Is it aimed mostly for teachers to identify the quit point in kids? Is it about teachers too, saying I need to figure out my own? Give us a little bit of background on what we can expect when quit point arrives this summer.
So we've done a lot of presentations over the past few years, and usually within 10 minutes of the presentation beginning, we start having people asking us, how do you do this? How do I use this? And so kind of our goal was a how-to. We want teachers to be able to read the book, to use this to help their students. And I mean, you can use it to help yourself too. I mean, we talk in terms of our clients too, but the focus in terms of the biggest impact is if you teach in a high school with 150 kids, that's 150 students, 150 quit points you have to deal with every single day. And so we want to have the biggest impact immediately. And then as soon as you start being aware of quit points and when they occur, it gets really easy to start applying it to yourself, to your colleagues, and we start seeing our students help each other with their own quit points. And then Adam and I we know where our quit points are when we're planning and executing a lesson, and we'll kind of help ourselves out that way too, which has been the best part of collaborating, is you have that person next to you that's always there to support when you're like, I'm struggling.
Yeah, and so I know there's a collaborative piece in the book too, where you talk a little bit about that. Give us some of those bullet points. Can we get to a place where kids can become pretty astute about that too, and recognize their own and their peers' quit points? Hey,
that's been kind of the biggest surprise actually from when we started the process, is that we really started emphasizing student leadership and student-driven classroom, and it's having a student-driven classroom, because we noticed a few kids became really aware of how authentic their peers' effort was, where they might have been in class for years together, they know each other very well, and they don't need to go through weeks of study to understand it. And when they start having these team goals or these collaborative this collaborative vision, they will immediately start saying, I know you don't like this, or I know this is a challenge for you, but I need you to do this. And so the students started modifying assignments for each other. They started planning things inside the classroom so that they would be more prepared. And then it became an issue where, like, quit points would, in some cases, on a good day, we wouldn't see a single quit point. And it'd be the students mostly driving that. We'd plan, we do all the work beforehand. And then when the class starts, it's like the students just run with it, and they'll do things that you wouldn't believe. And we even co-planned with each other, but we also work with teachers in another school district. And they were one of them told us that, this week, all of their students were asking if they could do choreographed videos to the Just Dance video game, because they wanted to show their group identity and group nationalism. And so they're starting class with this 2-minute choreographed dance performance. And then they're transitioning right into academic work, and they feel great because they know they're all doing this. They're doing this together. And it just changes the classroom climate, and they're helping each other out. And that's kind of stuff that we never saw before. We're having 30 students volunteer to do something that could make them look silly in some of their circumstances. And they appreciate the collaborative aspect so much, they're willing to take a chance.
Yeah, and actually,
great.
Just to kind of piggyback on that, I had a situation today in class. Our assignment today, and we teach at the high school level for social studies, and at the end of every unit, our test is an essay. So today was an essay day, and that can be a quit point for some students who aren't necessarily as confident about their writing ability and things like that. So, just as we started the process, I had 2 students who kind of hit a quit point in their writing on the last unit. And so the strategy that I used for them is they actually worked collaboratively on their essay, which even a year or so ago, that thought process would not have gone through my head. My teacher brain would have said, no, that's cheating. Somebody's going to do all the work, something like that. Actually,
you might have quit.
Yeah. Through the process of writing the book together, I realized, no, both of us are working very hard on this book, and it's actually made us, one of us will do kind of an initial draft, and then the other person will kind of tag team on that, and then we'll collaborate for a while back and forth. And so I gave these 2 students the challenge of, what if the 2 of you work together on it? And they embraced that last unit. So today in class, they both opened up their assignment, and called me over and they said, Mr. Chamberlain, could we do the same thing again? Could we work, collaborate on this essay? And I was like, I think that'd be great. And what I expect to see is all of the edits that you make in your Google Doc, and I should see edits back and forth and, peer review and things like that. So, the collaboration aspect was able to overcome a quit point even in today's class.
Now, is there a vocabulary or a language to this that the kids actually come to know? Or, I mean, do you use that phrasing? Do you have them, you say, I know his quit point, he knows mine. Are we teaching kids to do that, or is it just using things like challenges and overcoming barriers and things like that?
I'd say that the initiating level of using the quit point vocabulary is to keep it kind of teacher driven and for the planning. So we talk about quit points with each other, because we don't use the word quit, which has a negative connotation with the student, and then have it think like, oh, I quit and I made a mistake and things like that.
Right.
And we use other terms like effort rationing, which might be a little bit over their heads in terms of like, well, you're putting some effort in, but you're not really trying all the way. So we start with words like with challenges and collaborating, work together, and overcoming. And then it's when the groups get more organized and we start seeing some leadership among the students that we start using terms like quitting. And are we just quitting right now, or is this actually an option? And then it helps us really hone in on, are we trying to overcome a quit point issue, or is there an academic issue? And then it's interesting because when the students admit, like, I know, I just quit, and just accepting that they're not trying anymore is the opposite of what we came to expect from before we started down this road, because the kids all try to convince us they were trying, and we knew better than that. And now they're being more honest about it, and since they're honest about it, they can reflect about it. And it's that reflection piece that we start introducing some of the vocabulary.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of that in the book too. There's really an assessment piece to this. I think that the concept on the surface can feel a little vague until we have conversations like this, and until someone reads a book or looks at one of your presentations. But I think there's a whole lot of different layers to teaching and learning that are involved here. But there's a connective tissue that we sometimes miss. Like if you get to a kid to a point saying, yeah, I guess I'm quitting, where now there's been enough dialogue and assessment and feedback and all that you can continue and say, okay, well, let's get past it, right? Whereas we might have just quit ourselves. I know in the past I had kids that they just quit, and I was like, okay, well, I can't get him to do anything else, and I'm just going to leave him alone and go somewhere else. So I was really quitting too. So is there a way to get around that now?
I think it opens up more of a self-reflective piece on the student's part, which we have, I know that we've been able to have much more honest dialogue with students around that. I know, there's been quite a bit in the Hack Learning series about, assessment and grades, or, teachers throwing out grades and things like that. And unfortunately for many kids, traditional grades and traditional grading systems become a quit point. Because then it becomes, well, how many points do I need just to reach this level? And so you're no longer getting significant effort. You're getting just enough effort, or in some cases, that grading system is enough to create a quit point, and they don't see any chance in coming back. So that's changed our assessment process, and it allows us to have really honest conversation with the students about the effort that they're putting in, how that effort translates to their learning, reflecting on the learning and things like that.
Yeah, we're much more aware of the process of learning and the role that effort plays in the process, and and us using that kind of vocabulary and dialogue with our students when we work with them, it helps them, take quitting isn't actually the worst thing in the world. We all quit at certain points. And so when we have a kid who's understands that they quit and they're struggling right now, it's like, well, you quit, you hit a quit point, but at any point you can choose to stop quitting. So it's not a final thing. And there's not this, this ledger that we're keeping on, oh, you've quit 17 times this grading period, and so you can't succeed in the classroom anymore. Sometimes the kids who quit the most actually learn how to overcome quitting the fastest, and then they become really strong students. And we've had some students who turn around from FFF to high achieving students, because they learn that, okay, I'm in control. I can stop quitting anytime. And once I do, I can be successful.
Well, Adam and Sveti, this has been a really amazing conversation. I'm not sure if it's on both ends. I feel like I'm losing a signal here, so I want to make sure we get out of this the right way if we can.
Okay.
I want to quit the right way. Because I think we're reaching a quit point. And let's do that the right way. So I know I want to tell people, I want to tell people they can learn more at quitpoint.org, right? And
quitpoint.com and quitpoint.net. Yep.
.net. Okay.
Yep.
And .com. Okay, good. I'll drop these in here when I edit up the video and put them in comments as well. And we do have the book Quit Point that is coming, and it's still so early that I'm going to say sometime. It's coming sometime this summer. I don't know exactly when, but it is coming, and it's really exciting stuff. But I will tell viewers that these guys have so much content already on their website, and they've got some downloadable stuff. One of their presentations we have in the Hack Learning Toolkit at hacklearningtoolkit.com. So that's another free resource, and it can, I think if you look at it, it gives you information that you can use right now, and I think it's also going to really whet people's appetites for the forthcoming book called Quit Point. Guys, take us out. Tell us anything else, any way other people contact you, connect with you, anything at all we need to know.
I mean, I think going through the website, you know, that's probably the easiest way to get hold of us, particularly if you want specific information or things like that. We do have a kind of a comment section on the bottom of the website, and we check that regularly and try to get back to people as with any questions that they might have. So
yeah, and we respond to Twitter, and we respond to questions all over the place where people ask us for resources or suggestions to modify something that's more quit point aware in themselves, and we're always happy to help out and just share what we have to get the dialogue going. I mean, we're really excited about being able to work with 2 districts so far, full time, all's interacting, and we're hoping that the more people that we work with, the better we are at what we're doing, because it's all a process.
Great. All right, guys, I want to say thanks, Dan Whalen. Good to see you here. I want to say thank you for taking the time to do this. This is a wonderful conversation, and this video will stay here. It'll be over at the Hack Learning Facebook page. It'll be on the hacklearning.org site and in our toolkit, and we'll share it out on Twitter and YouTube as well. So we'll make sure we're sharing this out. I'll tag you guys in it, and people can drop questions or comments in here, and we'll make sure we get to those as well. Guys, thanks for talking about Quit Point. I'm looking forward to the book. Appreciate your time tonight, and everyone else who's watching.
All right, thanks, Mark. Yeah, thanks a lot, Mark.
Take care.